Here I am back again. Since my last film we had some snow, and before that we had some wind and rain which took the phone line down. No sooner was it up than it was down again because of the snow, and then after the snow there was wind and rain which took the phone line down again. Plus there was then work and life and repairing all the damage that the snow had caused. So it's been a while, but now we're back with an Italaerei Cant seaplane. Don't know much about it, but it's a good model. Here's another second-hand eBay special. I've no idea what that's about, but I didn't pay that much for it. And it's an Italaerei. It says Italian flying boat. That's good. Cant Z501. And it's another one of those really graceful interwall jobbies, so I'm enjoying this already before it's even started. Oh, and I've dropped some bits and pieces in it. That's taken away all the magic and the mystery, hasn't it? Usual Italierei instructions. I like them. They have a nice sombre old-fashioned style. It's got a really graceful body, obviously being a combination of aerodynamics and a float. But one of the interesting things that really gets me about these interwall planes is the experimental nature of them. This one seems to have worked out quite well. Some of them are a bit ugly and a bit weird, and that's what I like about them. But this one does look good. Although I've got a funny feeling once the kind of cab is on, because it looks a bit like a truck cab or something, it's going to lose a little bit of grace. But anyway, here's the parts. This is a tricky bit. Whoops, bashed the camera. In particular, the struts which hold the wing up. They come in a kind of bar with two crossbars. They come in pairs, and they sit in the side of the fuselage, you can see there. And they fit really nicely. It's easy enough to do, but you want to make sure that they're all at the right angle and that kind of thing. So there's this kind of what's almost like a float which sits at the crossing point of the lower crossbar, but it comes in two pieces, which means there's an awful lot of juggling to do. You need to get glue to hold the struts into the fuselage. So I started on this side, and then you need to glue that on to these, and then you need to glue the top on, or vice versa, which is in the end what I did. I put the top on, but you end up with so many plates spinning and so many pieces to push and pull that I found it really quite tricky, and I've ended up with it like this. I am so glad I didn't put the tailplane on yet, which I was tempted to do because it's nice and easy. But there it is, sitting there, and I've ended up with a bit too much glue on the float. I hope you can see it there, and a bit too much glue on that join. In fact, the two joins there. The other side it went fine, but that is a bit gluey. So, challenging, but in the end I got there. I'm liking this. This is the engine which sits on the middle of the wing, and the wing sits high above the fuselage. But look at this, it looks like a sort of early 20th century racing car, which I suspect is pretty much what it is. The Italians being speed demons, particularly in the early part of the 20th century, they were breaking all the records on land, air and sea, I think. So yeah, that's good. Really stylish. You don't need telling by now. If I'm outside and not doing anything spectacular, then the weather's bad, the light is appalling, and I can't get anything done much. And I've got the colours. I'm jumping, I'm rambling from one thing to another. I'm doing the colours a bit more kind of painterly. I want this to look like a well kind of washed by salt water kind of aircraft. So once I've got the varnish on, oh, and the propeller and the transfers, then we'll start doing a little bit of weathering, not too much I hope, and that'll be it. Loving this one. And now I've added some red and black, and I'm a big red and black fan. Perhaps it's something to do with Dennis the Menace, you never know. Here it is, done. It went very quickly, apart from juggling all the struts, but once that's out of the way, there you go, you're pretty much done. It's a good kit, I enjoyed it. It's a good old-fashioned style kit, and I enjoyed making an Italaerei model, so I'll have to look for more of theirs. I think I underestimated them as a kid, but then that's brand loyalty and that kind of thing, isn't it? You only got 2 pilots, and they go in the cockpit obviously, so I've added some more from other bits and pieces, and in particular one at the front. He's holding a pair of binoculars, but I haven't got a decent shot of him for some reason. It doesn't show up particularly well, but anyway, bit of novelty. And here I am making a vain attempt at coming up with something like a C, which is nothing, it's not even, you know, let's face it, it's junk. But I'd probably get locked up if I went to the beach with an airfix kit and waved it around. So we'll stick with this for the minute. I'm very happy with the finish. I know it might not be to everybody's taste, but when I was a kid in the 60s, I remember I was somewhere like Weymouth or something, or looking over at Portsmouth, and a Sunderland came down, and me and my dad drove for quite a while to get to it and had a good look fairly close up. I remember from a distance it looked fantastic and white. Close up it was all patchy, and that's what I wanted. There's that ancient memory. It was a blazing hot day and absolutely everything was highlighted, so I just wanted to capture a bit of that. And I've quickly looked up this aeroplane. Apparently it won a distance record just before the war, but once everybody had got their super fast aircraft like Messerschmitts and Hurricanes and Spitfires, it got a bit behind the curve, so ended up being sort of spotter and air sea rescue. But even though it's got that cab on it, it's an attractive aircraft. I could do a few more float plane, seaplane things. They're quite nice. Oh, and by the way, the weather's better and the cat's happier.